so far so good. The camera is working. And yep. Okay, so hi Rome. So I said I promised that I would go live, and here I am. I am doing a live stream. So remember last night, before, where I made a comment that I said, if this post gets 10 comments, I'll do a list, or I'll do a thread of the top 10 Korean movies that I liked or I'll recommend. So I'll probably do that, and I'll probably do it since, as you can see, I just got out from the bath, and wow, this lighting is like super good. But yes, my skin is like looking better, but I'll talk about that later on. So I'll probably go through my top 10 Korean movies in a bit. Well, probably doing Korean skincare. Multitasking. Value for your money. But anyway, but yes, before we start, RIP, I just saw the posts. Yeah, that Chadman Boswick has passed away from colon cancer. So that is super terrible. It's he Black Panther was a very iconic movie for a lot of it represented a very good movie because it represented the African American community in a really positive light. Hindi lang sila yung sidekick, hindi lang sila yung token black character in the movie, which most African Americans are typecast in white movies. So it was really well made, and it is a tragedy that he has to die that young. It's probably 43, right? So yeah, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. So really, I mean, I think I only know him from Black Panther, which is like bad, but I think he also did a lot of other movies as well. So I haven't been keeping or catching up with a lot of the actors from Marvel, so I don't know. But anyway, so probably I will probably start with this live stream will probably be for an hour, so that's 60 minutes probably, maybe, I don't know. So tinaon ka talaga na lunchtime, so wala halos nanonood, but because what the heck, because I want to. But anyway, so it's going to run for 60 minutes. So fun fact before I start, this is just a fun fact that I probably learned this week. So you know how in the modern days our number system is in the value of tens, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So apparently the reason why we have 6, since we're talking about this is a weird segue when I just announced that, okay, I'll be running the stream for an hour. And I was like, maybe I'll tell them about this cool tidbit that I have about how there are 60 minutes to an hour. So the concept of having 60 minutes to an hour came from the Sumerians, not Conan. So people are saying, yes, like Conan the Barbarian. No, Conan the Barbarian is not a Sumerian. He's actually a Cimmerian. So it's a different race. But anyway, going back. So Sumerians, their number system is not based on the number 10, it's based on the number 60. And the fascinating fact about that, it's because how they counted using their hands. And how they counted using their hands was really fascinating. Kaya sobrang mind blown ako when I found out about this fact. Kasi when we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's how we count, and that's how we've always known how to count. But apparently, the Sumerians counted a different way. So what they do is that they count. So they still use their two hands, but they counted differently. So what they used was that they used one hand as a multiplier, and the actual hand as the counting hand. So this is how they used to count. So they used this as the counter, and this is the multiplier, right? This is the counting hand, and this is the multiplier. And when you finally learn about this technique, it's like, wow, okay, mind blown. So this is how they count. They use this thumb, and you know how our fingers are divided into three parts, right? Because it has like these two lines, and it's divided into three parts. So how they count is like they use the thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Isn't that amazing? So what they do is that they're able to count to 60 using their two hands. So that's how they counted time, and that is the reason, and we adapted it up until modern times, and that is the reason why we have 60 seconds to 1 minute, and there are 60 minutes to an hour, because they counted like that. Yeah, so amazing. So that's one of the fun things that you learn when you're bored and you watch history channels in YouTube. So anyway, so as like I've mentioned, anyway, nawala na tayo sa topic because I am very good at flying away from the topic. But anyway, for today, so I'll be talking about the top 10 movies that I've watched so far. That my top 10 favorite Korean movies, and I'm looking at the list right now, and it seems that 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 8 to 7 are horror movies. So I didn't realize that most of the Korean movies that I watch are horror movies. So if you guys are like, oh, okay, so are these, so maybe you've watched some of them, maybe you have not watched some of them. By the way, so I told you guys, so since since I just came out of the bath, I'll be doing my skincare while doing this. I don't care. So using a Garnier. So it's good for sensitive skin. So if you have alcohol allergies and fragrance allergies, so this is good. So after you wash your face, you can just tone with it or double cleanse with it. Anyway, so the first movie that I really liked was, it actually was, according to its Wikipedia page, it's Memento Mori. So that's the number 10 for the top 10 movies that I like is Memento Mori. So it's actually it was a movie in 1999. Okay, so it's an old movie. It's like 11 years old. So it stars, so according to its Wikipedia page, Memento Mori is a 1999 South Korean horror film and the second installment of the Whispering Corridors film series. So if you've watched, so apparently it's a part of a series. So I think the stories are not interconnected, but they follow the same theme, much like Old Boy and Sympathy for Lady Vengeance, if you know those two movies. So Koreans are fond of creating movies that you know, parang it's a series. Parang Korean directors are fond of making movies that are not exactly connected to each other, but they follow the same theme, like just what I've done. So it's a sequel to 1998's Whispering Corridors, and is also set in an all-girls high school, but the films are otherwise unrelated, just like what I've said. Memento Mori was one of the first Korean commercial films to depict lesbian characters. So yes, it is an LGBTQ. Yes, it's an LGBT film. However, prevailing Korean attitudes constrained its potential to be widely viewed, even more so as the controversial themes targeted the teen demographic. So, syempre, way back in 1999, so, you know, we didn't have the social revolutions were happening, but it wasn't, you know, as in full gear with with what's happening right now, especially with the internet. So and people can take up a lot of social political causes right now, and that's cool. Pero in 1999, well, the internet was just still starting. It was literally only being adopted by few number of people. So it is an all girl. I've watched this. Yes, I think there was, but it wasn't really overtly lesbian. They weren't having sex in the dormitories. Pero it was, there was evidences of the girls being romantically linked towards each other. So the first film revolves around the relationship between the two high school students, Yoo Shi-yoon. I'm very bad with Korean names, so I might be mispronouncing everything. So that's the reason why, but when it comes to actors, I always refer them to the movie, and it's like, oh my god, it's the actor from Kingdom, parang ganon. So because I can't pronounce their names, I really can't. I'm bad with their names. But Yoo Shi-yoon and Min Hyo-shin. Okay, so Yoo Shi-yoon, which is played by Lee Yong-jin. Oh my god, please don't kill me. I'm really massacring their names. And Min Hyo-shin, which is played by Park Ye-jin. I think she's popular. I think I've heard her name before. As the two girls become romantically involved, their taboo relationship causes them to be marginalized by other students, unable to cope with the social pressures of having a lover of the same gender. Shi-yoon tries to distance herself from the increasingly dependent Hyoshin. Hyoshin reacts poorly to Shi-yoon's changed attitude, viewing it as both a betrayal and rejection. So Hyoshin consequently commits suicide by jumping off the school roof. It is also heavily implied that she was pregnant at the time of death, the father being the literature teacher, Mr. Go. Okay. So, what made this movie really memorable? Because it was actually one of the first Korean movies that I watched. So yes, again, what made it memorable is because of the LGBT theme. So you can see that they were, the girl was really into the girl was really into her. Parang ang dynamic nila is parang they were best friends that they became together. So she was really into the other girl, but the other girl is of course parang, oh okay, parang pinagchichismisan na tayo. So she distances herself, and the girl commits suicide. So it's super freaky kasi it's this movie still follows the format of a lot of Japanese horror movies. So yung vengeful female spirit, ganyan. So it's really creepy kasi yung mga camera angles are really it's very psychological. So biglang may mag-a-appear na ghost, yan. So it's a really good scare. And if you like teen dramas, and at the same time if you like horror movies, Memento Mori is a good watch. So if you want it, and I think if you're really interested in watching movies that have LGBT themes, Memento Mori is also good to watch as well. Basta it's super creepy. Like biglang it's just alam mo yung uso sa Asian horror na it's just a normal scene and then suddenly something pops up in the background and you're like, what the fuck? That's scary. So yes, so Memento Mori is number 10. Okay, so number 9 in the top Korean horror movies that number 9 of the top 10 Korean horror movie, or not really horror movies, kasi puro horror movies lang siya, kaya siya mukhang horror movie list. Pero number 9 from my top Korean movies is Wishing Stairs. So it's another movie that's set in an all-girls school, or it's another movie where the protagonists, yung mga bida, are high school students. Actually, apparently, if you've watched, may bagong series ngayon. It's called, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Gedam or Gyodam. I don't know if I'm getting that right. It's a new Netflix series. It's like 6 episodes long, but each episode is like 5 minutes to 8 minutes long. It's very short. I think their longest episode is 15 minutes, probably. So it's in Netflix. It's showing right now. So bago lang siya. It's a series then of stories about urban legends, and probably 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6 are urban legends in high schools, especially in all girls schools. So apparently in Korea that's a thing. But anyway, so Wishing Stairs. The movie for Wishing Stairs. So it's a 2003 South Korean horror film. It is the third installment of the Whispering Corridor. So apparently tatlong movie siya. So ito yung the third and last installment. So it's set in, once again, an all-girls high school. But as with all the films in the series, it is unrelated to others. So again, it is a series of movies. They have the same theme, but their stories are not connected. So apart from a song being sung in one scene, that is a pivotal plot in voice. Okay. So the plot for this, so I'm reading from the Wikipedia page because it has been some time. I only remember fragments of it now, but I know that it's a good movie. So in Wishing Stairs, so the plot is that Yoon Jin Sung, who's portrayed by the actress Song Ji-yo, and Kim So-hee, portrayed by the actress Park Han-byul, are best friends studying ballet at an all-girls school. Okay. However, their friendship turns sour when they find themselves competing for a single spot in a Russian ballet. It's a so they're competing for so it's a prestigious in their all-girls school. They're known for their ballet troupe, and every year their school presents this show in which all the girls in their school compete for that prime spot to get that lead in that play. So, kasi whoever gets the lead becomes scouted by famous Russian, famous ballet schools, ganyan. So, Jin Sung learns from an odd student named Yom Yeju. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Also, yeah, somebody asked, okay, parang kanina ka pa I know, I have this bad habit that when I use toners or when I cleanse with my face, as in, I don't stop wiping until the cotton is dry. So, I don't know if it's a habit. But anyway, going back. So Jin Sung learns from an odd student named Yom Yeju, who's portrayed by the actress Joan, of an old legend that if a person climbs the 28 steps leading up to the school's dormitory. So there's an urban legend in their school that there's a certain set of stairs that if you climbed it, at a certain, there's certain conditions na parang if you climb the stairs at a certain time, kasi there are only 28 steps on those stairs, but if you climb it at a certain time and you see a 29th step on those stairs, a fox spirit will grant your wish. So, of course, as we all know, Jin Sung climbs the stairs and comes across the 29th step. Okay? So she wishes that she gains the spot. To her surprise and anger, Soo-hee, her rival for that lead spot, is selected instead. So parang when she tried to wish that she gets a spot, hindi naman nagkatotoo. So what I remember in the movie, parang they met on that stairs, and since she's like super angry that her wish was not fulfilled, she accidentally pushes the girl, si Sohee, down the stairs, and because of that, it actually accidentally grants her wish because Sohee gets into an accident, breaks her legs, and she can't perform. So, kumbaga, it is true if you think of it her wish came true in a fucked up way. Kasi, when she pushed the girl down the stairs, the stairs did grant her wish, because by falling down the stairs and breaking her legs, she got the lead role for herself. So, it becomes, I think, she becomes, I think the other girl becomes paralyzed, and she loses her popularity, and because of that, I think, I don't know, I really forgotten, kasi I have watched it like a decade ago, more than a decade ago, and I don't know if she also commits suicide, or if she starts planning her revenge towards the girl who pushed her down the stairs, I think. So it's, wait, hang on. So yes, so it's a, how do bloggers do this? I don't know. But anyway, so it's a revenge movie, actually. So if you're a fan of, girls being bullied in school, and then, the bully gets their just desserts, Wishing Stairs is actually a good movie, because of her greed and her envy towards the other girl. That happens, but she does get her parang she does get her comeuppance in the end. So it's a very good movie. It's also, it actually also presents a very good idea. If you watch these movies, you can actually see a good picture of how on how all girls schools in Korea are like. So, well, of course, sans the murder and the bullying and the ghosts. Pero it's a good, parang teen movie if you take out the horror. Oh, Zelia, hi! Hello, so you're watching. Hello. I'm at brunch, but just want to say I miss you. I miss you too! I don't have anyone. I miss our meetings. Our meetings. Okay. So anyway, so that's the 9th. That is number 9 among my top 10 favorite Korean horror movies. Okay. Okay. So number 8 is surprise, surprise, another horror movie. So number 8 is, this time it's a newer one. So it's not made more than 10 years ago. It's just made 2000, so it's 2006. Well, it's still made more than 10 years ago. My god. Have I not watched anything new? But anyway, so so number 7, or sorry, 10, 9. Sorry, number 8 in my top 10 Korean horror movies is called Cinderella. So it's a 2006 South Korean supernatural horror film, and it was directed by Bong Man-dae and starred Do Ji-won and Shin Se-kyung. Again, I don't know, don't hate me if I mispronounce these names, because I'm bad with names. Anyway, so the plot for this movie is that a figure wait, wala man lang, it actually details the plot. Okay. Okay, so na-distract ako dun sa Wikipedia page, because the Wikipedia page actually detailed the story, not a summary of the story. But Cinderella is about, how in South Korea, plastic surgery is a thing, right? Among men, women, young girls, young men. So, it's not something that they, it's like a craze for them, much like how in the Philippines, like, people are crazy about whitening and stuff. So in Korea, it's a little bit more extreme, because sa kanila talaga plastic surgery. Others are really super extreme when it comes to their plastic surgery procedures. Like their face is completely different. But others are more discreet about, you know, so Cinderella is a parang cautionary tale about plastic surgery. So the story involves it's a the story is about a mom and a daughter. So the mom is a Bashara. Hi, Camp! Hi, Camp! Ako maabutan dito na online. So, Camp, yes, hello! Congratulations on the successful bingo and also yung Mobile Legends mo. Sorry, so this is the second one. So, this is good. So, actually, nakikita nyo ba? So, no, hindi nag-autofocus yung ano. But anyway, so, so I'm using the BHA Blackhead Power Liquid. So, it's good for the skin. So, recently, ever since nag-ECQ, my skin is like super better na. And if you guys know me personally, my skin is super bad. I don't know, ayan. Kasi pag malabo siya, hindi siya nag-autofocus eh. It's not like, wait. Let's try kung mag-autofocus siya. I don't think it can. But anyway. So yes. So ever since the ECQ started, So ever since the ECQ started, I've mostly done skincare. So I didn't since I didn't need to use makeup. So my skin is like super good. So if you've known me for some time, you've known that my skin is super bad. Now it's really good kasi I don't go out. I don't go out in the sun, and I actually don't use makeup at all. So skincare regimens help. And I think CosRX is actually one. I've always heard about it, but I only tried it ngayong starting March when the ECQ started. They're very good kasi most of their products don't have fragrance and alcohol. Some of their products do contain fragrance, and I think some contain essential oils. But I've stayed clear of those. But most of their ingredients are fragrance-free and alcohol-free, which is very good. So if you want like for your blackheads to disappear, especially in the nose area, so try the BHA. It's really not, I don't know, kasi I don't know how to. But anyway, try the BHA Blackhead Power Liquid. So it's really good. Anyway, maybe I'll probably do a different live stream for skincare. Maybe, probably. I don't know. Pag nasa mood. But anyway, so going back to the movie. So Cinderella is about a mom and a daughter. So the mom is a plastic surgeon. So she's quite famous. And she has a really pretty daughter that, you know, that she medyo spoiled sa kanya. So, you know, the girl is pretty popular. She's pretty, she's popular, you know, a lot of people like her. But the thing about it is that there is, parang, she sees in her dreams a picture. For some reason, when she turned a certain age, she started dreaming about this girl that wants to steal her face. So, and when she told her mom about it, I think the mom was parang started acting suspiciously. So anyway, when she asked, parang, and there is this room in their house that she's not allowed to go to. So suspicious, diba? No, there is a house, parang there's a room in their basement that she's not allowed to go to. So anyway, another thing about that is that so she's a popular girl, right? So a lot of her friends are actually jealous of her, and parang behind the scenes, they also want to do some, parang they were planning kasi she's really pretty eh. So behind the scenes, so she didn't know about this. So of course, behind the scenes, they wanted to do a prank, but the prank kasi is a little bit dangerous and it involves actually harming her face. So so there's there are 3 plots overall happening in this movie. So there is the mysterious girl that appears in her dreams. There's this creepy, mysterious girl that appears in her dreams and wants to get her face. There's her mom that is keeping secrets from her whenever she asks about the creepy girl that wants to steal her face. And then she has these friends, these fake friends, that want to ruin her face. But anyway, so I'm not gonna tell the rest of the story kasi it is a little bit masuspoil kayo with the plot. So but anyway, it's really good kasi the social commentary is all about beauty and plastic surgery. Kasi what happened was that, well, I'm without telling too much, without saying anything too much about the spoiler for the movie, it's that her mom did something that that gave her that beautiful face, and so her mom did something to give her that beautiful face and to give her that life, but at the same time she also kind of destroyed another person's life. So it's a vengeful ghost movie. So if ever you wanna watch it, so Cinderella, it's really good. And yes, the actress who played the lead is really beautiful. Like, she looks like a mannequin. So you know how Korean actresses are. They are really really good with their skincare. But anyway, so yes, that's number 7. So watch it kasi I like the social commentary when it comes to the the cult of plastic surgery sa Korea kasi it's very popular. I remember, but actually some people don't. So it's very popular. Plastic surgery is very popular in Korea, and actually some actresses and some celebrities are actually not ashamed that to have it. So some people say publicly, "No, I had this done." It's not like here in the Philippines na there's a social stigma and people call you retokada, ganyan. So parang in South Korea kasi, they don't mind that, they perform or they have stuff done to their face. So it's fine with them. But some people take it to the extremes talaga na parang a lot of things are done to their faces. I think it's also prevalent in China as well. I'm not so sure kasi they have the same beauty standards eh. Yung parang really poreless, beautiful skin, really big eyes, really thin noses, really nice lips, like their face has to be this certain shape. So but yes, Cinderella is all about the ridiculous standards of beauty in South Korea, plastic surgery, and also, don't do shit to other people because it will get back to you. So yes, that's it. Ay! Anyway, so yes, I'm still, hindi pa rin ako tapos sa skincare kaya it takes me some time to do this. But anyway, so let's go to number, I'm losing track. I'm so bad at this. But anyway, so number 7 on my top 10 Korean movies again. It is a horror movie. What the hell? So number 7 on my top 10 Korean movies is Death Bell. So I know this became really popular, I think. This was in 2008. So this was released in 2008, and it is the only Korean horror film released over the summer of 2008. It is the first feature by former music video director Chang, who also co-wrote the screenplay. Death Bell stars Lee, I don't know how to pronounce this again, Lee, pag E-O ba sa Korea, is it O or E? So I don't know if it's Lee Bom-so, Lee Bom-su, or Lee Byum-su. So I might be wrong. Again, I might be mispronouncing this so bad. But anyway, Death Bell stars Lee Bom-soo in his first horror role and K-pop singer Nam Gyuri in her acting debut. It's set in a Korean high school again. The film's native title refers to GOSA, the important midterm exams that all students, well, at least in Korea, are required to sit through. Okay? So, medyo mainit na. Maybe I'll turn... Oops. Sorry, I jostled the camera. So, maybe I'll turn on the aircon. Ang init na dito eh. The lights are super hot. But anyway, so the plot of the movie goes that a group of 20 high school students partake in an elite class to prepare for a college exam. Okay, so in Korea, where, you know, it's there. If I think the Korean educational system is a little bit intense, so parang they have, yeah, all of these kinds of subjects, and if you want to get into a really good college or to get into a really good high school, you have to sit in these exams, or you have and those exams are super hard, so you have to do crams. Parang cram school is like additional. It's like an addition. Parang you're not tutored, pero it's like an additional class on top of your regular class if you want to go to if you want to pass at the test to go to the high school or college that you want. Okay, so it's pretty intense. So I think that's the reason why as well that there was a time that English tutors, there were a lot of English tutor schools for Korean students, and a lot of Korean students actually prefer studying abroad because of how intense the educational system in Korea. But I don't know if it's still the same, but I think that's what my Korean friend used to tell me, that it was pretty intense. And of course, a lot of companies, much like how some companies in the Philippines, some top companies in the Philippines get their managers or their look for students from top 3 schools. So in top companies in Korea, if you want to go in, you have to graduate from a certain school. So that's the reason why the competition for these schools are very intense. So just a background. I don't know if it's still true. I think it probably still is. I mean, it's not something that's just, native to Korea. I think it's native to a lot of countries because, companies base how they, well, I'm a recruiter, so I screen candidates based on, if they come from good schools or not. So anyway, a group of 20 high school students partake in an elite class to prepare for a college exam. Among them are the rebellious Kang Ina, her best friend Yoon Myung-hyo, and the class clown Kang Hyun, who harbors an affection for Ina. After several strange incidents, the class is interrupted by a TV showing of the top-ranking student Min Hye-young being trapped in a glass being slowly filled with water. A voiceover in the PA system announces that questions will be posed to the class and failure to answer them in time will lead to their death. So it also warns them and their 2 teachers, Hwang Chong-wook and Choi So-young, against leaving the school. The class fails to solve the first question and save Hye-young. This is like, I would like to compare it to Saw. So it's Saw set in a Korean high school. So the good thing about this is that it's not exactly horror, it is suspense. It's a suspense thriller. There is a little bit of blood, so if you're not a fan of blood, you might probably want to skip this movie. So, it's not very gory. It's Hostel or Saw for that matter. But there is a lot of blood involved, so some of the situations are very, very creepy. So yes, so what happens is that apparently to take like doing this now. So there are a bunch of students. So actually, so from what I remember of the plot is that there's only a set in that school. There is only a set number of students that will take that exam. So that exam, I don't know if it's an exam that will enable them to go to a good college or it's a qualifying exam for something, but it's a very important exam in that school. And only elite members of the school, so meaning elite, like people with a certain grade, are allowed to take that exam. So, parang top 20 students lang ata or top 30 students lang. Now, the funny thing about that exam is that, and this is a plot point of the movie. The funny thing about that exam is that when you take that exam, you will be trapped inside the school. So, parang the school has a dormitory, I think, for the students. So, to take that exam, you will be in the school. You can't get out. So, the entire school will be locked. You will be the only people that will be inside the school. And, so it's you, so it's the students and the parang proctors na teachers that will only be inside the school. So, parang, so it's I don't know if it's overnight or if the test runs for several days. But that's, parang ganun yung plot eh. Kasi parang, for some weird reason, they can't get out of the school. Parang natrap sila sa school kasi yun yung condition ng exam, that they can't get out of the school. Pero it becomes a plot point in the movie. But anyway, so they get trapped in the school. So there is this, so one by one they have to do, so one by one each of those 20 or 30 students starts getting kidnapped, and they're put in parang puzzles that if the other students don't solve the questions, they die. So it's much like so. So it's puzzles involving this person, and if you don't solve that puzzle, chugi yung tao, diba? So it's very suspenseful. And if you're a fan of movies na, fast-paced, and you really like plots na ma-action, I think Death Bell is for you. Skip it if you don't like blood. But I mean it's I like it kasi, fast-paced storytelling. I like the murder, parang the mystery in the background as well. Like, okay, who are these crazy people that are doing these to the students? And what is their motivation and why they need to do this to the students? So, it's a mystery as well. So, if you guys are one of those people that really like movies, and really like, fast-paced action movies na suspense, I think Death Bell is a good recommendation for you guys. So of the past, so Death Bell, Cinderella, Wishing Well, at saka Memento Mori, they're all not in Netflix. You might see them in, kasi since they're old movies, I don't think they're in Netflix, and might need to watch them somewhere else. I think, I don't know, probably download them, probably, maybe. But the movies are so old. If you can get a copy of these movies, sometimes they're shown in cable. I don't know if View has them, if you guys subscribe to View, kasi I know that View has a lot of, ano ba yung isa? View at saka Viki. I know that they have Korean movies, but if you can't find them, try to just look them up in the internet and see if you can get a copy. Okay, but am I promoting film piracy? Probably not. So I'm not gonna say it out loud, but if you can get a copy and if you have the opportunity to watch them because they're really good. Okay? So anyway, yes. Oh, it's so hot. I did not turn on the aircon. Teka nga lang. Okay. Anyway, so we're nearly halfway through. So, oh my god, how many minutes have I been running this? Anyway, so we're now on 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So we're on the 6th movie, halfway through. My god. Okay, so the 6th movie is not a horror movie. Amazing! And this is one of the movies that I think my friend Micah Fernandez recommended to me. It is actually a crime thriller. So the top 6 movie on my top number 6 movie on my top 10 Korean or not sorry, the number 6 movie in my top 10 Korean movie list is Memories of Murder. This is very good. This is so good. This is such a good movie. So Memories of Murder is a crime suspense movie, and it is really good kasi ang ganda talaga ng twist niya. It's like if you're a fan of movies like Seven or Zodiac, maganda talaga siya. So I would really recommend it kasi it's a crime suspense, parang crime suspense movie. It's psychological and the plot is really good. Like parang yung ending niya, parang ako, oh my god. Did you see that? Basta maganda siya, maganda yung plot niya. So Memories of Murder is a 2003, wala talaga ako napanood na bagong Korean movie, no? Parang lahat sila matagal na. So, is a 2003 South Korean film and directed by Bong Joon-ho. Teka, if I remember, Bong Joon-ho is very famous. So, actually, I'm just checking kasi I think he's a famous. Yeah, so it's a movie from the same director who made Parasite. So it's really good. So if you guys can watch Memories of Murder, it's really good. So anyway, so it is loosely based on the true story of Korea's first serial murders in history, which took place between 1986 and 1991 in Hwasong, Gyeonggi Province. Song Kang-ho and Kim Sang-hyung star as Detective Park and Detective Seo. So they're the two detectives that are trying to solve the case. So it's set in this, so you know how nasanay kayo sa mga Korean dramas where it's always set in a glittering neighborhood in Seoul, or if not in Seoul, it's this parang idyllic neighborhood in, I don't know, yung mga province, like picture perfect neighborhoods. So this one is like, it's a little bit gritty kasi it's set in this backwards town in Korea that so it's not like Seoul where there are rich people. So it's a backwards town, so you only get like it's a provincial town, and you know you get like farmers and poor people. So the film was the second feature film directed by Bong following his 2000 debut film Barking Dogs Never Bite. So yes. Okay, let's go to the plot. So the movie starts when in October 1986, two women are found raped and murdered in a ditch. So the local detective, Park Duman, not having dealt with such a serious case before, because this is the first time that, you know, he's a provincial cop, so it's very rare that he's gonna get this. He only gets like really simple cases, like the occasional theft, the occasional parang theft, robbery, vandalism. So it's a really sleepy and small town. Parang siguro parang like, I don't know, Los Baños, ganyan, or parang some town in the outskirts of Pampanga. So it's a very small town. So the local detective, Park Duman, not having dealt with such a serious case before, is overwhelmed. So understandably, so you know, is a murder. Two women were raped and murdered suddenly in this very sleepy town. And since overwhelmed siya, you know how, since this is the first time that they've dealt with this kind of crime before, evidence is improperly collected. Like, you know, people are stepping around the bodies, they're moving things around. So it's like a Soko nightmare. Probably much like how crimes in Manila are. They were never really able to properly mark the bodies or tag the bodies and get, you know, the things that they needed to be able to solve the crime, like, you know, DNA, footprints, etc., etc. So So since the evidence is improperly collected, the local police's investigative methods are now suspect. So syempre, since they fucked up collecting the evidence and and they fucked up establishing the crime scene, so anything is tampered with, diba? So police yan o footstep ba ng criminal yun? Nobody. So and ayun nga, their forensic technology is non-existent. Again, the movie is set in 1986. You're in some godforsaken town out in some province in Korea. These are local policemen that have never seen this kind of crime. So, forensic technology, I don't know her. So anyway, it's really, the crime scene is really fucked up. So Park claims, so ito pa, so the local detective, Detective Park, claims that the way that he can determine who the criminal is by eye contact. So what the fuck? Wow. So detective, basta medyo comedy yung start niya eh. But it's a serious movie. Pero nakakatawa yung start niya. And wow, Detective Park, have you met taga PNP ka? Kasi this sounds really familiar. I can detect criminals by staring them at the face. Anyway, he decides to first question a scarred and mentally handicapped boy, Baek Kwang-ho, who resides in the town. He uses his eye contact method, thinking Baek is responsible, and has his partner Cho beat confessions out of Baek. So, as usual, as with all policemen, whether it be 1986 in some godforsaken town in Korea, or if it's 2020 in Metro Manila, they think that the most suspicious person is always the one that is mentally handicapped, because why not? So, I have a lot of social commentaries about the PNP, but I will stop saying it now. But anyway, so the local detective is Tae-yoon, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. A detective from Seoul volunteers to assist them. So there's this big hotshot guy from the capital that goes to the province and helps with the investigation. However, he and Park's methods clash. So they're an odd couple. So the detective guy from Seoul is all about, detective techniques, let's look at the crime scene, forensic technology, etc., etc. And then, while the local detective is like, no, feeling ko yung mentally handicapped guy, siya yung murderer. That's it. Case closed. So anyway, so they clash. So deems Baek's hands too weak and scarred to be able to commit such an elaborate crime, clearing his name. After more murders are committed, they realize that the killer waits until a rainy night and only kills women wearing red. Okay, so that's the plot of the movie. So the killer has a very interesting way of identifying his victims. So he only kills during a rainy night, and he only kills women or young girls that wear red. So it's very interesting kasi it's a crime thriller. So you keep guessing. Okay, who is the killer? Is it really the mentally handicapped guy? Is it someone in the village? Is it maybe one of the two detectives? Because the killer is really smart. They can't catch him. And of course, the local police and their investigate in Korea. The local police, especially the provincial police, are always put into, parang their stereotype is that, they're bumbling policemen, hindi sila maayos magtrabaho, they usually fuck up the scene of the crime. So it's a commentary on that. Hi, Dadan! So shout out naman po. Hi, Dadan! Wow, ang pretty mo sa photo mo, parang ang poreless mo dyan. Grabe, parang kang nilaminate. Anyway, love you, Dadan. Miss you na. So anyway, okay, going back. But the thing about Memories of Murder is that the reason why this movie is so good kasi it keeps you guessing. It keeps you guessing. Like, seriously, ang ganda ng plot niya. And after you finish, it starts a little bit slow in the beginning. And kala mo comedy nga siya in the beginning kasi sobrang nakakatawa yung dalawang detective. Like, seriously. Sobrang nakakatawa sila. So, parang, ano talaga sila, parang you would see a lot of yung how they operate, especially the local police, you would see a lot of similarities between the local, yung PNP natin on how they approach crimes, na parang feeling ko ito yung criminal. Let's go with that. Parang gano'n. Without DNA evidence, without looking at the crime scene, wala. Maybe ito yon. Let's go with that. Parang gano'n siya. So, you would see a lot of that in the movie. It really criticizes how some policemen don't really follow, like, scientific methods or the rule of law. Kasi talagang binugbog lang nila yung suspected nila na criminal. So, it's a common, it's a social commentary regarding local police attitudes towards crime and how they solve them, which is like, super bad. If you guys, you guys can really see a lot of, parang you would see a lot of similarities how, yung PNP ngayon, how they solve crimes, yung parang, baka ito yon. Yung mga ganun na mood, na parang ikaw, what the fuck? That is the most stupid theory that I've ever heard. Pero well, our brilliant policeman. So that's good. And basta the ending talaga, I can't really say anymore kasi if you guys can watch this movie, I don't think it's in Netflix yet, but it's just a crying shame. It should be in Netflix because it's a really good movie. But if you can find it, I'll probably put a list after I finish this live stream. I'll probably put a list of all the movies that I'm talking about in this live stream. But if you can watch Memories of a Murder, oh my god, the ending talaga is like mind blown. As in, watch it. You will not regret it. Yung kung paano kayo na by the way, I haven't watched Parasite yet, but kung gaano ka mind-blowing yung plot sa Parasite, ganun din yung sa Memories of a Murder. It's gonna start really slow, so expect that. Pero once the story gets really rolling, sobrang ganda ng plot niya. Sobrang galing ng ending niya. Watch it, okay? So anyway, sorry. Hindi pa rin ako tapos sa skincare ko. Parang isang oras na. Okay, so we're halfway through. Oh my god. Na lang. Okay. So number 5 on my top 10 Korean movies is The Host. Okay, hindi na to. Okay, again, it's not a horror movie, but I think it's a sci-fi thriller, sci-fi monster movie. Okay, yeah. Hello, odds. Yes, please, penny list. Haha, I cannot go out ng FB app to search or no. Yes, don't worry. I'll put in a list of all these movies. Try them, watch them if you have the opportunity to, get a copy. So, I would recommend that you binge. So, number 5 is The Host. You might have already watched this. This was parang, I think, nagkaroon siya ng international recognition. It's a monster movie. That's what, number 1, something interesting that you would want to watch. Movie. It's a 2006 South Korean monster film directed by Bong Joon-ho. Again, so it's the same director of Memories of Murder at saka Parasite. So it's a really good movie. And starring Song Joon-hee, Bae-duna, and Go Ah-sung. Ang alam ko lang na pangalan dito ay si Bae-duna dahil I watched Kingdom. Again, I wouldn't really know Korean actors or actresses if I haven't seen their faces. So, but Bae-duna is here. Bae-duna is in Kingdom. She's the siya yung nurse, and then she's also in an American series, if I recall. The one where they're all yung parang they're connected. There's parang they have this psychic connection. I forgot about that. But anyway, so she's been in some international series and movies as well. The film concerns a monster kidnapping a man's daughter and his attempts to rescue her. According to the director, his inspiration came from a local article about a deformed fish with an S-shaped spine caught in the Han River. So, the plot is that in 2006, a slow-witted young man named Park Kang-doo, okay, medyo complicated yung synopsis ng Wikipedia. Anyway, ayun, tama, Sense8. Sense8, yun yung series that Bayduna is in, where she is one of the several people that have a psychic connection. But anyway, so, okay, moving on to my skincare. So, tapos na ako sa BHA. So, I'm moving on to another CosRX product, which is the Triple Hyaluronic Moisture Ampule. So, this has hyaluronic acid. Anyway, it's good. So the plot here is that they're a small family. It's parang what I really like about this director is that he shies away from the usual K-drama dazzling people, which I like. Kasi the thing about K-dramas, and I like how they're done, but at the same time kasi most of their actors or actresses really look manufactured or very plastic. Kasi ang perfect nila, diba? Because that's a thing in Korea. Like, you know how their appearances are. The thing about Bong Joon-ho, he likes actors or actresses that, he does that, have this certain, parang, he likes actors or actresses that don't have that kind of manufactured look. He prefers, at saka the plot that he prefers is usually yung mga small Korean families or people in a town outside of Seoul. So none of the usual glitter or fancy themes that you see in K-dramas, diba? So if you guys are expecting classy women or really handsome rich men with yung parang sila yung mga heir ng mga corporation, none of that is in Bong Joon-ho's movie. Not unless it's in Parasite, but they're not the main plot. It's mostly he prefers the small Korean people in his movies, which is really good. But anyway, so the film focuses in this. They accidentally so they're a small family. So there's the dad. So wait. I know I'm not supposed to do that, but anyway, I'm not supposed to. Sabi nila sa skincare, you have to put certain konti lang na drops, and then you have to warm it up with your hands. And I'm like, matrabaho. I'll just put it on my skin. But anyway, so the movie focuses on a family. Miss ko the way you talk, Viva. Saturday. Miss you na din. Oh my God. Ang ate ko dati magsalita. Well, still there. At least nagtatagalog na ako. There was a time in Sutherland where in one of my old companies that people thought that I couldn't speak Tagalog. And I was like, what the fuck, tang ina. So ang lutong mo magmura. Anyway, so they're a small family. So talagang, if you see, when I tell you that, as in typical Korean family talaga na parang very Korean features talaga ganyan. So what happens is that there is suddenly a monster that comes out of the river and it causes panic in the capital, in Seoul. Of course, the military is trying to hide it, ganyan, but this small Korean family accidentally gets caught in the middle. For some weird reason, napunta sila sa path ng monster, and the monster kidnaps the daughter and takes the daughter to his monster lair. So, so the father is begging the military, parang you have to help me, my daughter was kidnapped by the monster, ganyan. And the military refuses to, of course, help him because number one, he's just some regular dude. Number two, like, whatever, wala naman kaming pake kung mamatay yung daughter mo. We have bigger problems to worry about, which is, like, there is a monster rampaging here. So, the military is busy evacuating people. And the military is also busy trying to hide the fact that they also, parang meron silang involvement. The Korean military and the American military had a secret involvement in that, on how the monster came to be. So for Erwin, we are at number 5. So halfway through na. So halfway through na tayo. Okay. So the plot there is mostly the dad, who is this very ordinary Korean man. He doesn't have superpowers. Naalala niyo yung dad sa Parasite? Like, yung sobrang, lang siya, typical Korean dad. He doesn't, he's not rich, he's not, he's not, sobrang ordinary lang niya. That's the dad. What the dad in the host is. Pero, he really loves his daughter. And that's the reason why he and his family members sneak in to the area na kinordon off na because of the monster nga. So he sneaks in to that area so that he can rescue his daughter. So it's a monster movie, it's an action movie, it's again fast-paced, pero ang ganda niya kasi there are a lot of things happening. So there's the plot about the monster, like how it came to be, how the government is trying to like hide the fact that they had a hand in creating this monster. And then the other plot is the family plot. Like, there's parang the family is not perfect. Actually, that's the one thing that I really love about this. It's very real, much like yung sa Parasite, where how their family dynamics were very real. It's very relatable. It's not sobrang soap opera drama na yung tatay may kabit, ganyan, as I have a half brother. So it's not yung high drama soap opera na family dynamic, but it's a very real Asian family dynamic na you have yung parang you have that sister, you have that brother na medyo tarantado, ganyan. Pero they're very close knit. So I can't explain it, pero there's something about their family that you can really relate on. So it's a very relatable. Their family dynamic is very relatable. And hyping si huy. Para mo lang ako sinit-sitan sa kabilang table. But anyway, so yes, may nagtatanong, Viva, nasa loob ka ba may nag-message sa akin sa nasa loob ka ba ng ng aparador? Hindi. Grabe kayo so yung sa likod ko lang is like the rack where I hang my clothes. So apparently I can live with 10 pieces of clothes. Who knew? Kasi lahat ng clothes ko naka-storage pa, which I have to fix. But anyway, so the family yun. So there's the monster plot, the family plot, and then the father-daughter plot. Kasi he really loves his daughter, and that's the reason why he goes through these incredible lengths to rescue her. And it's really touching kasi imagine, he's an ordinary man. He doesn't have any superpowers. He doesn't have connections to like corporations. He's not rich. He doesn't have any connections to the government. So he's just a simple man who wants to rescue his daughter. And it's very touching. I'm not gonna give away the plot, but you have to watch it kasi it's a monster movie, it's an action movie, but the father-daughter plot, it's just like parang after the movie, it's like it's very it's very emotional yung father-daughter plot. So if you're into monster movies, if you like family movies, especially yung dynamics ng parang parent and child, The Host is a movie that I would really like to recommend. So that's number 5. Okay, so we're halfway through. And now down to number 4. Okay, so number 4 of my top 10 Korean movies is Number 4 is A Tale of Two Sisters. Yay! Another horror movie. Okay. So, A Tale of Two Sisters, if you've ever seen in the internet, the poster for A Tale of Two Sisters is actually very iconic. Hindi ko alam kung you've probably never seen the movie, but it is most likely that you've seen the poster for this movie. The poster for this movie it's a family photo. There's the dad, there's the mom, and then there's two sisters. One sister is alive and one sister is dead. It's a Tale of Two Sisters. And the nice thing about, and fun fact about the Tale of Two Sisters is that it's so critically acclaimed that America made a movie. Hollywood made an American version of this movie. I don't remember what the title of the movie is, but they based it on the plot of A Tale of Two Sisters. So, A Tale of Two Sisters is a 2003, again, hindi siya bago. My God, I should watch new Korean movies if you have recommendations for me for medyo mga nangyari after 2010. Kasi napansin ko lahat ng movies na pinapanood ko, mga before 2010. So, if you can recommend movies 2010 onwards, good Korean movies, please let me know so I can watch them. Maybe my plus points if they're in Netflix as well. So, A Tale of Two Sisters is a 2003 South Korean psychological horror drama. So, if you guys really want yung mga mindfuck films na scary, watch A Tale of Two Sisters. It's a 2003 South Korean psychological horror drama film written and directed by Kim Ji-won. The film is inspired by a Joseon dynasty era folktale entitled Jangwa Hongryeon Jeon. I'm sorry, my Korean pronunciations are so bad. K-pop fans, don't kill me. Which has been adapted to film several times. The plot focuses on a recently released patient from a mental institution who returns home with her sister, only to face disturbing events between her stepmother and the ghosts haunting their house, all of which are connected to a dark past in the family's history. So, it is, I wouldn't say, actually, when I was watching this, konti lang yung super horror scenes na may ghosts. I would say, mga 20-25% lang ng movie is actual creepy ghost stuff. The rest is mindfuck thriller talaga. Kasi the thing about it is that it keeps you guessing. It super keeps you guessing na parang, what the fuck is happening? Kasi, the story revolves around, yes, the uninvited yung English. Thanks, odds. So, yung uninvited, inadapt lang from A Tale of Two Sisters. So, the thing about this movie is, wait, sorry, pause. So, so, a lot of you guys are probably thinking, why does she keep spraying? So, this is Avene. Ayan, nakikita na siya. Okay. So, I don't know how beauty bloggers do the thing where they, so, okay, so segue lang. So, why do I keep spraying Avene? Kasi, apparently, if you're going to use hyaluronic products, you have to make sure that your skin is moist. Kasi, if you use hyaluronic on dry skin, it will actually make your skin more dry. So, a tip that I got from a beauty blogger in YouTube that, where his thing is so-core South Korean beauty is that before you put hyaluronic acid, make sure that your face is moist, and then pag medyo nag-dry na siya, put in hyaluronic acid. So you put the hyaluronic acid, and then once nag-settle in na siya, you mist again with water. So the mist that I used is Avene, which is the only mist that works for me. So, for some weird reason, Evian doesn't work for my skin. Nagkaka-allergy ako pag Evian, which is fucked up because it's just literally water. So, skin, what the fuck. But anyway, I'll probably do another live stream about my skin and skincare. But anyway, so, A Tale of Two Sisters. So, the story starts, like, they're a perfect family. Kasi, there's the doctor dad, the socialite mom, there's the pretty daughter. So, for all intents and purposes, it's a perfect family. Pero, the tensions are underneath. Like, the daughters, hindi kasundo yung mom nila. Kasi And then for some reason, and they hate her, and they kind of also hate their dad kasi she married again, and this, she married someone who's super young, and you're still missing their mom. So that's the first tension, the family tension. So hindi magkasundo yung mom at saka yung mga daughters, so they hate her. And then the second one is that there's this parang weird ghost that's hanging around their family, and it's not explained why. It's like, who is this ghost? Like, is she a ghost in the house? Is she a ghost in the family? Did the family kill someone? Is it haunting them? Who is it haunting? So you don't really know who this ghost is haunting to. But if you watched Uninvited before, you may probably already have an idea on what that ghost is. Pero that's a good thing. Pero if you haven't watched Uninvited, watch A Tale of Two Sisters first, kasi mas maganda siya sa Uninvited. Like, seriously, kasi number one, it's the original one, and number two, it's like super mindfuck talaga siya, and madami siyang scare moments, madami siyang yung parang madami siyang sigaw moments, pero ang ganda niya kasi psychological thriller siya, and sobrang mindfuck niya nung ending niya na you're like, what? Parang ikaw, oh my god! So if you really want those kinds of movies na you want something scary, you want something thriller, you want parang family secrets type, na what's beneath the surface behind this perfect family, go for A Tale of Two Sisters, kasi like the ending is like, okay, okay girl, I see you. Ganun siya. So good. So A Tale of Two Sisters. Again, for you guys that just tuned in, don't worry, I'll probably put in a list after this, after I end my live stream. Okay? Okay, so that's A Tale of Two Sisters. So we're down to number 3. So top 3 na tayo. So number 3 of my top 10. So number 3 of my top 10 Korean movies is The Wailing. Yes, Erwin mentioned it kanina. So The Wailing is another horror film, but this is how would I say it? This is an intellectual horror film. It will really have you hindi siya mindfuck. Well, there is like 10%, 20% mindfuck. Hindi siya ganun ka mindfuck, pero sobrang it's intelligent horror na parang you have to piece together na parang what the fuck? Tas yung ending niya is like it's a horror film in a way na hindi kasi parang it's a horror film not in the traditional sense na may mga scary monsters or scary ghosts, but it's a horror film kasi it's a psychological thriller na will disturb you. The ending is not disturbing in a gory way, but it's disturbing na parang putang ina, what the fuck was that? So, but if you're a fan of really out of the box suspenseful thriller movies and you don't mind, kasi I think the main complaint for The Wailing is na bore sila dun sa story up until it's a little bit slow. So The Wailing is like it's part mystery, part intellectual horror, part psychological thriller. So it's one of those horror movies na masyadong parang you have to use your brains. I'm sorry. So hindi siya fast-paced. I'm telling you, hindi siya fast-paced. So if you get bored easily with those kinds of movies, The Wailing might not be for you. But if you're one of those people who really obscure thriller movies, obscure horror movies, if yung mga indie na thriller, I think this is for you. It has also some religious components to it about the devil, ganyan. So if you're a fan of those movies with those kinds of themes, I'd really suggest that you watch it. Okay? So what does Wikipedia say? Actually, yung mga synopsis kinukuha ko lang sa Wikipedia. Because yung iba nakalimutan ko na. Ang tagal ko nang napanood. But anyway, 2016, oh my god, we have a movie that is beyond na bago-bago ng slight. So, The Wailing is a 2016 South Korean horror film directed by Na Hong Jin and starring Kwak Do Won, Hwang Jung Min, Chun Woo Hee. The film centers on a policeman who investigates a series of mysterious killings and illnesses in a remote Korean hamlet called Goksong in order to save his daughter. The according to Wikipedia, the film was both a commercial and critical success. I think it is a critical success kasi it's Oscar worthy. Maganda siya, maganda yung movie, maganda yung shots, maganda yung cinematography. But again, if you guys are not a fan of Oscar movies, if you want, action movie, mas gusto mo ikaw yung simpleng tao na gusto kong mabilis yung plot, I want something na hindi ako gaano mag-iisip. Probably The Wailing is not for you, but if you're really fan of me, but if you're in the mood for something very intellectual, very psychological, go for The Wailing. Okay. So, the plot starts with a Japanese man arriving at Goksong. Goksong is parang sa murder. It's like this really small village outside in Korea, in the mountains, somewhere in Korea. So, a Japanese man arrives at Goksong, a small village in the mountains of South Korea, where a mysterious being the keyword here, a mysterious infection breaks out and causes the villagers to become deranged and violently kill their families. So, that's the main plot. That's the main plot. Kasi the plot actually in Wikipedia is very spoilerish. So, what I can tell you is that, so it's a small village, and for some weird reason, there's this Japanese man that arrives, and when he arrives, people randomly start going crazy and start murdering their families. So, of course, the local police, so it's kind of like Memories of Murder then. There's a, there's a murder mystery to it as well. So, nagtataka sila. So, is the Japanese man involved in these murders? And if he's involved in these murders, how is he involved? Kasi the killings, the murders are done by the actual family members. Like, the family member suddenly goes crazy and then kills their family members. So, they're like racking their brains na paano siya involved? Like, is he doing something to the family members that makes them go crazy and makes them kill their family members? Is he, what is he doing? So the main plot point is them chasing that Japanese man. And since it's a small town, so, the police detective has also his own family there. So, parang the plot is them trying to find out what the Japanese man's involvement in those murders are. And, kasi, while they're investigating the Japanese man, the murders, the craziness that's happening in the town is continuing. And it's really creepy kasi you don't know, is it a virus? Are they getting possessed? Kasi talagang they just really up and get fucked in the head and start murdering people. And I really find and so the entire plot goes through that. Tapos, I think na-involve na rin yung family nung detective. So, it's a good mystery. So, I'm not gonna give away the plot kasi it's really good. I would still recommend that you give it a shot kahit parang pagtiisan nyo yung movie kasi maganda talaga yung plot niya. It's, yes, granted that it's a little bit slow, pero I think that you should at least watch it once. Kung hindi nyo matrepan, that's fine, pero it's one of those movies na talagang you really have to see kasi it's one of those movies talaga na that stays in your brain. So, okay. So, I'm using... So, this is, I don't know if you can see it, it's Galactomyces 95 tone balancing essence. So, it's apparently a dupe for SK2. So, alam mo yung SK2, this super horrendously expensive skincare line. So, they have this serum that a lot of Asian celebrities, as well, like, pati, I think the Gutierrez brothers are endorsing it here in the Philippines. It's ridiculously expensive. So apparently, this is like a cheap alternative to the serum. So it's really nice for the skin. But anyway, going back to the movie. So there are a lot of things happening in the movie. So there's one, the mystery of the Japanese man, which is actually very funny. Kasi Japan and Korea have been at odds historically. So it shows in their culture as well. Pero it's a love-hate relationship actually. Kasi before, like, before K-pop started, before, di ba ngayon kasi golden age of Korean, ano na eh, it's the golden age of Korean pop music, Korean celebrities, Korean movies, Korean series. So it's a golden age for them. A lot of countries are mimicking how they do their movies. A lot of countries in Asia specifically are a fan of their actors and actresses. And, you know, their standards of, their lifestyle, their standards of beauty are now very popular across, not just in Asia, but across the world. The thing about it is that, and a lot of people, I don't know if you guys know this, but actually a lot of people don't know this. It's Korea and Japan have always been at odds each other historically, even until now. The reason for that is because, well, Japan has tried to invade Korea several times. Yes, so Japan has tried to invade Korea several times, and Korea has always parang kasi Korea is a peninsula, diba? So it's a piece of land that juts out, and their closest neighbor is Japan. So Japan is a very, very small country, so they are very keen to use Korea as their starting point to move inwards to China. So, diba, parang, so it's been happening since 1400, 1500, 1600 years ago. So Japan has always been horny in invading Korea to, for their expansionist policies. And in World War II, they actually, diba, Japan was doing their thing where they're invading a ton of nations around the country. So Korea was one of the countries that they invaded, that had a strong military Japanese presence. And it was really bad because they conscripted a lot of Korean men to actually become their soldiers. So if you think about it, not yung mga Japanese armies, actually a small portion, or not really a small portion, but I know that in Japanese armies that invaded Asia, they have a portion na conscripted Korean soldiers actually. So they conscripted men to be part of the army. They also used they also, the same thing that happened in China, in Singapore, in Indonesia. So the Japanese soldiers also treated Korean women brutally. So yun nga, may mga comfort women din sila. So Korea doesn't have a good memory historically of Japan. So they always portray Japan, they don't portray Japan in a good light at all in their movies or in their series. It's really crazy. But the fact of the matter is, and this is the really ironic part, the reason why we have Korean pop and Korean is because they all were inspired by Japanese pop. Like, before we had, parang ngayon, kasi ba, you have BTS, you have all these Korean pop bands. These guys started because in the early 2000s, in the mid-90s, Korean celebrities, Korean show actresses were mimicking Japanese celebrities. Ang weird, diba? So, they don't have a good relationship historically, but Korea, the Korean media culture that we see right now, actually came from them copying the Japanese movies, the Japanese celebrity culture, yung mga boy bands. They were just trying to copy the popular boy bands of J-pop during the early 90s. So it's super weird. It's super weird talaga. But anyway, so that's a fun fact for you. So they have this Japan and Korea have a love-hate relationship. And it's another thing that I forgot. one other fascinating fact. Sorry, sobrang off the topic na. If you guys hate me of being off the topic, I'm sorry. One interesting fact then is that, you know how Japan has the oldest monarchy, diba? In his, parang, Japan lays claim to the fact that they have the oldest unbroken line of Japanese emperors. Like, the Japanese emperor today can stretch their father to the first Japanese emperor. Nobody really usurped that line. Kasi the Japanese royal family has claimed that their family came from the gods. Na they're descended from the god, diba? Like Jimoteno and Izanagi and Izanami. The thing about that is that the Japanese scholars right now are kasi the thing about the claim of the Japanese royal family that they come from the gods is that it can't actually be disputed. The thing about it kasi, the Japanese royal family refuses for their ancestors to be examined by the scientific community. And because of that, they can't really determine kung saan talaga galing yung Japanese royal family, diba? But the Japanese scholars and scientists are claiming that the bloodline of the Japanese royal family actually came from historical settlers from Korea. So that's what the scientists and scholars say, that these people migrated from Korea. Back then, we don't have the same seas and oceans, diba? So parang if you're familiar with the concept of the land bridges, so these the early people of Korea migrated to what is now modern day Japan, and they established a civilization. They formed a government, and then they formed their own royal family, which is now the royal family of Japan. So the scientists, the Japanese scientists and scholars are claiming that, you know, the Japanese royal family actually has Korean roots. Okay, so plot twist. So anyway, sorry, but anyway, the bottom line is that yes, Japanese people are not portrayed well in Korean cinema. But anyway, so going back, so sorry, where was I? So anyway, so the plot point of the movie of The Wailing is that it's the mystery of the Japanese man. They don't really know what's causing people to become crazy, and it also gets really personal for the detective that's investigating the case, because his daughter suddenly starts showing signs that she might be infected or possessed as well. Kasi that's the plot eh. You don't really know, parang, is it demonic possession? Is it a virus? Is the virus carrier the Japanese guy? Why are these people suddenly going bugfuck crazy? So that's the main plot of the movie. And it's, the nice thing about Korean thrillers is that it keeps you guessing. Lalo na yung mga ganitong movies, it really keeps you guessing. Like parang kung may kasama ka sa movies, siguro wala kang ginawa kung hindi pag-isipan lang, shit, sino ba talaga yung pumapatay? Parang ganon. So, it's really good kasi it's an intellectual horror film. That's what I can say. And the ending is like, so yes, The Wailing, if you can find the time, if you can find a copy of this movie, if you can find the time to watch it, even once, kahit, you know, these kinds of movies are not your thing, I would recommend that it's one of the movies that you watch even once in your lifetime. Okay, Wailing. Okay, we're down to number 2. So, dalawa na lang. Okay. The next movie that I'm going to recommend is nasa Netflix. Yay! So, hindi kayo mahirapan. So, finally, a movie that's in Netflix. And it's new. It was actually just released last year, 2019. So, it's a new movie that is in Netflix. So, yay! Okay, wait. Let me just... Anyway. Alright, so second movie. So, number 2 in my top 10 Korean movies is Svaha, the Sixth Finger. I don't know how to pronounce because it's spelled as Svaha. Is it pronounced Svaha? Is it Russian? It sounds Russian. Or is it, I think it's, okay. Basta, at saka yung font, if you see the poster in Netflix, it's like the font is parang this, what title it is. But the title is spelled as Svaha, Svaha. I think it's pronounced Sabaha. So I might be like pronouncing this super wrong. I'm sorry, Korean everything. I'm sorry for mispronouncing everything in this item. But anyway, so Svaha, the sixth finger, is a 2019 South Korean mystery thriller. And it's directed by Jang Jae-hyun, starring Lee Jung-jae, Park Jung-min, Lee Jae-in, Jung Jin-young, Lee David, and Jin. I probably mispronounced all of their names. Please forgive me. The film was #1 at the box office in its opening week with a strong 840,000 sales and collected. Anyway, it depicts a mystery involving a Buddhist sect while posing questions about faith in general. So, much like the Wailing, actually, somebody once said that Svaha is if it's like the Wailing and angels and demons. So if you like the Wailing, I would suggest you watch Svaha as well. But if you haven't watched the Wailing, skip the Wailing and watch Svaha instead. Or plotting, parang the action is faster. But anyway, so it's a really good movie because let's see what Wikipedia has to say about the plot. Okay. The story starts with Gumwa and her twin sister, called Only It, are born. Gumwa is born with a deformed leg and grows up in a remote village with her grandparents who raise dogs for a living. It, kasi she has a twin sister that doesn't have a name. The twin sister was not supposed to live for long and is kept hidden from the public eye, locked up in a shed in the backyard. So they treat the twin sister like really horribly. She's kept like an animal. Gumwa seems terrified of her twin and grandparents, especially when her grandmother prays for forgiveness from the gods to treat the sister. When some locals attempt to investigate the shed, snakes crawl out of it and bite them. So there's something freaky about the twin sister. Meanwhile, so this is the other lead. So this is the lead guy. So Pastor Park, a man who works at exposing cults, is hired to investigate a mysterious group called Deer Mountain. At the same time, the police also start investigating the group when one of its members is the prime suspect in the murder of a girl whose body is found buried in concrete. So the story has religious overtones. So the main guy, he's a priest or a pastor. I think he's just a pastor, I think. Not exactly a Catholic priest. But it's implied. It's implied that he's either a Christian pastor or a Catholic priest. Kasi meron siya nung, yung dito, yung sa yung mark ng priest. But anyway, so what he does is that he's very, even though he's a pastor or he's a priest, he's very jaded. So what he does is that he exposes religious cults for money. So what he does is that he investigates them, exposes them, and he gets a reward from, like, for example, let's say he exposes a Catholic cult. He reports it to the Catholic Church and he gets a reward. So that's his thing. So he's very, I wouldn't say he's very religious kasi he smokes, he likes designer clothes, he likes, he likes money. So I don't think he's very religious. But that's his job. He exposes religious cults. And the thing about this is that it's again, it has a lot of religious overtones kasi it starts with the concept of the devil and the concept of evil, ganyan. So because there is this girl and she was born with a twin sister, and the twin sister is apparently the devil. So it's not a spoiler, that's actually said in the beginning of the movie. So now there is the movie revolves around the plot. Is like, who is this mysterious twin sister? Is she really the devil? Because when ano talaga, she's kept hidden, nobody can see her, and the girl, yung twin sister niya, who's born with her, is terrified of her. Kasi it's like really creepy talaga. It's really creepy. Kasi you would really think na, oh my god, maybe she is the devil. Kasi, when you start, parang maybe, okay, maybe it's one of those movies na parang maybe the sister isn't the devil. Maybe these are just horrible people treating that poor girl horribly. But, and then suddenly, you start thinking, okay, maybe this is really the devil. And then you see, and then, part of the plot of the movie is that there's this group of people that are on a mission to kill the devil. It's really good kasi there's two religions that are overlapping in the plot of this movie. So there's the Christian Catholic plot of good versus evil, and then there is the Buddhist plot as well. Kasi in Buddhism kasi there isn't the concept of good and evil sa kanila is not how the Catholics would think of good and evil. Kasi okay, this is talking about religion na. Pero in the Catholic and Christian religions, it's like there is the concept of good versus evil, diba? In Buddhism, it's a little bit more complex. What they say is that, and this is not exactly how they say it, but I'm just gonna generalize it. So in Buddhism, there isn't any they don't have a concept of good versus evil. There's just people who have let go of their human desires and people who still have those human desires. So you might not be good, you might not be evil, but if you're a person who has let your human desires possess you, there is a possibility that you might do bad things. Regardless if you're a good person or not, that's not besides the point. There's only human desires and people who have no human desires. I'm probably not making any sense right now. But if you watch the movie, it's really, yung concept, yung plot niya, yung concept about good and evil, human desires, they were able to portray it, and ang galing ng plot. It's very, well, actually I would agree to that comment na it's the Wailing and Angels and Demons. So if you love those, yung parang conspiracy theories about religion, if you want something psychological, Svaha, the Sixth Finger, is a good movie for you. Actually, after this live stream, I would recommend that you watch it immediately because it's really good. It's a good movie. It's not too intellectual na malulose ka dun sa plot. But at the same time, it has enough of a brain teaser that you would feel like, okay. Kasi your mind keeps thinking, okay, so who is she, the devil? Is she not the devil? If she's not the devil, what is she? Diba? Parang ganon. So, it's a good brain teaser movie. And at the same time, it would really give you a good understanding about human desires and how it can really, even though you parang, sige, I'm not gonna spoil it, pero ito lang yung masasabi ko. It would really, parang, even if you're a good person, but you let your human desires take over you, even if you are trying to do something good, but if the reason for that is because of a selfish human desire, it will eventually turn out to be a bad thing. Yun lang masasabi ko. Basta watch it. So it's in Netflix. It's a new movie. If you have the time today, just watch it. I would really recommend it. It's really good. Actors are on point. The cinematography is great. Love it. So that's second movie, Svaha, The Sixth Finger. Look it up in Netflix. I'll publish the entire list after I do this live stream so that you guys don't have to search it because you might have probably missed the other 8 movies. But yes. Okay, so number 1 na. Okay, finally, matatapos na tayo. Oh my god. It's 1:17. So have we been running this for like an hour? Probably. But anyway, so number 1 in my top Korean movie list is surprisingly a comedy. Oh my god. It's a comedy and it has two very popular Korean actors. And I love this movie. As in, palagi kong inaabangan to sa Netflix. I'm like always checking Netflix. Shit, nasa Netflix na ba siya? Kasi it's still not in Netflix, which is a crying shame since this actor's movies are almost all in Netflix. Ang dami na niyang series, ang dami niyang movies na nasa Netflix na, and I don't know why this particular movie is still not in Netflix, but it's so good. It's a feel good movie. Pag depressed ako, I just watch clips of it in YouTube. Sobrang cute na movie. But anyway, that number one Korean movie that I would recommend to you guys is Midnight Runners. Just mention. So if you're familiar with Kang Han-nul and Park Seo-joon, how is his name pronounced? It's their movie. So Midnight Runners is actually a buddy cop movie. So it's a comedy movie, it's an action movie. It was released in 2017. It's a South Korean action comedy film directed by Jason Kim and starring Park Seo-joon and Kang Han-nul. It's so funny. It's sobrang good vibes na movie, I swear. As in, so, it evolves around, funny story, kung saan ko to napanood, it is the most awkward thing. So, napanood ko to when we were coming home from our vacation in Bantayan. So, Bantayan is an island in Cebu, right? So, to go home, we had to cross the ferry, take a bus back to Cebu, and then Cebu fly back to Manila. So, napanood ko to on a bus going back to Cebu. And nakakatawa kasi parang bootleg copy lang siya. Ang sama nung kopya, sobrang, kasi parang VCD or DVD lang siya na kopya. Tapos the subtitles were so bad. But sobrang aliw na aliw ako sa kanya. So, I was watching this from like, I usually hate watching movies sa mga bus kasi nahihilo ko. Pero ito lang yung nag-iisang movie na tinangis ko talaga na pinanood ko from start to end. So, Midnight Runners is a story according to the Wikipedia summary. Ki-jun, who is Park Seo-joon, and Hyol, who is portrayed by Kang Han-nul, are students at the Korean National Police University. At around midnight one night, they witness a kidnapping on their way back from the club. The local police station's missing persons department, however, is busy with the kidnapping of a son of a business mogul at the time and is unable to investigate the case. Knowing that they are in the critical hours after kidnapping, they embark on their own amateur investigation. So it's really super, I swear, it's super cute. Like, sobrang feel-good movie niya. So the story is that there are two guys. So Park Seo-joon so there are two guys that it's their the movie starts with them being admitted to the police academy. So parang hindi naman PMA kasi PMA sa atin is military. So parang yun yung school. Kumbaga parang yun yung school bago sila maging police. So that's police academy nga. So the thing about dun sa police academy, it's much like yung PMA. So, you have to live within the campus. You have to, parang, until you graduate. So, they're there. So, the movie starts with their first day in the academy. And sobrang cute kasi Park Seo-joon is just remembering it makes me laugh. So, Park Seo-joon is he's the son of a single mom. So, since they're poor, the only way that he can study is through the police academy. Kasi once you get in, it's free. The tuition is free. So, Kang Han-nul is, he's actually very smart. If you're familiar with KAIST or KAIST, which is like the MIT equivalent of Korea. So, parang parang UP, ganon. So, he's very smart. And he's always been like a top student. Parang nerd kasi siya doon. Parang he went to the police academy kasi he had, it was different. Kasi lahat ng kaklasmate niya, dun sa KAIST pumunta. Siya, parang since ayaw na niyang pumunta, kasi everybody was doing it in their school. Kasi parang it's implied na parang nasa isang elite siya na, na high school galing or university or something. Ayaw niya pumunta kasi lahat ng classmates niya doon na pumunta. So sabi niya, parang I wanted to do something different. So he went to the police academy because why not? The thing about it is that it's really funny kasi the story starts with how they were or how they were as classmates. And hindi sila magkasundo. Kasi Kang Han-ul is like super obnoxious. He's like, ano siya, germaphobe siya, tapos know-it-all siya. Tapos si Park Seo-joon, sobrang tanga ni Park Seo-joon dito sa movie na to, I can't. Sobrang tanga niya, as in, literally, he's yung lovable pero bobong character. Sobrang cute niya dito. So, sobrang cute niya dito sa movie na to. So, nung una, hindi sila nagkakasundo, pero there was this exam na parang they had to run. One of their final exams was that they had to race on top of a mountain. Like, so they have to go up and down the mountain in 60 minutes. So they did that, but apparently si Kang Han-ul na-aksidente siya on his way to the top. So, parang napilayan ata siya. So, he won't be able to complete the race. So, he was asking help from everyone, from all of his classmates, but none of his classmates were helping him. Kasi, you know, kasi it's a test eh. If they don't complete it, they fail. So, he was asking help from everyone. Tapos, dumaan si Park Seo-joon. Kasi Park Seo-joon, nung siya nakita, kasi nga, di ba, magkaaway sila eh. Kasi parang hindi sila magkasundo nung una. So, nung nakita niya si Park Seo-joon, he was begging Park Seo-joon na parang, you have to help me. Parang ganun. Parang, si Park Seo-joon, parang syempre, test nga, diba? So, parang siya, shit, sorry, Chong, kailangan ko na malis kasi, there's a time period, there's a countdown. And parang ginawa ni Kang Han-ul, parang, he said something, I'm not gonna reveal it kasi it's a little bit spoilerish. He said something to Park Seo-joon that made Park Seo-joon to agree to carry him up the mountain and down the mountain on his back. Kaya sobrang fun. Pero sobrang funny nung reason niya kung paano niya napao si Park Seo-joon. Basta I swear, if you can try to find a copy of this movie, it is so cute. Feel good movie siya whenever I feel down. It's like a really cute movie. And the thing about it is that, of course, since, syempre, buhat-buhat niya yung guys sa likod niya, diba? So, they were the last ones to go down the mountain and lagpas 60 minutes na. So, technically, they failed. So, yung instructor nila asks everyone, nakita nyo ba na nabalian siya ng paa? So, everybody says, like, yeah, nakita namin. And he was like, parang, nakita nyo ba yung dalawang to na bumababa ng mountain na buhat-buhat niya tong isa? And everybody said yes. And then the instructor is like, all of you are bagsak kayong lahat kasi you're policemen, you're supposed to help out people. And the fact that you had a classmate that needed your help, pero inuna niyo yung sarili niyo, parang what does that say about you being policemen in the future? So, ang pumusa lang, si Park Seo-joon at saka si Kang Han-ul. So, sobrang cute. Sobrang cute. And then afterwards, they became best friends. And I really can't tell the story na kasi medyo spoilerish na after they become friends. But the nice thing about this is that it's really, there's no romantic thing in this movie. It's really a movie about friendship. As in, sobrang cute na guy friendship na parang, as in talagang, feel good na buddy cop, na male friendship, na sobrang yung mga katarantaduhan nilang dalawa. Sobrang cute lang talaga. And if you're a BTS fan, I'm not familiar with the BTS members, but if you're a BTS fan, you'll like this movie because there is a cameo in the movie, and you'll like it. It's a really cute cameo. So basta anyway, so that's number 1. Midnight Runners, super cute. I recommend, actually, among all the other 9 movies, ito yung pinaka-light kasi it's It's not intellectual, it's not psychological, it's not directed by a critically acclaimed director. But the fact that it is super light and super happy making is makes it number one among the top. Actually, I didn't know who Park Seo-joon was and Kang Han-won when I watched this. Kasi I know nothing about Korean actors and actresses. Uh, um, so, nung nakita, kasi, di ba sobrang labo nga ng movie when I was watching this in the bus. When Itaewon Class showed in Netflix, I was like, you look familiar. You look familiar. And then I was like, shit, siya yung guy sa Midnight Runners. And I was like, oh my god. But I haven't watched Itaewon Class. It's the hair. Hindi ko talaga maintindihan yung, like, Park Seo-joon's face, yes. Park Seo-joon's hair, no. But apparently, he has that air. Someone explained to me, Joel explained to me, shout out to Joel. Joel explained it to me that he only had that haircut for because of a character. Probably. I'm not very good with Korean dramas. I have not watched a Korean drama at all. If you also have recommendations, just type them in. If you have any okay, so that's all. If you have other recommendations for other movies, for Korean movies that you want me to watch, let me know as well. But basically that's it. So top 10. So let's run through them one more time. So number 10 is Memento Mori, horror movie. Number 10, Wishing Stairs, another horror movie. Number 9, Wishing Stairs, another horror movie. Number 8, Cinderella, again another horror movie, sadly. 7 is Death Bell, again another horror movie. And then number 6 is Memories of Murder, psychological thriller. The Host, it's a science fiction monster movie. A Tale of Two Sisters is a psychological horror movie again. The Wailing is also a psychological horror movie. Svaha, the Sixth Finger is a mystery thriller. And number 1, Midnight Runners, which is a comedy action movie. Okay? So again, I'll send out the list. I suggest that you really watch these films. They're really good. And then, yung sa Svaha, if you can find time to watch it in Netflix today, really good movie. And for the others, if you can get copies, especially Midnight Runners, it's so good feels talaga siya. So if you can get copies of them, or if you can see them in other streaming websites, like, go ahead and watch them because it's really good. So that's everything. Actually, also, tapos na rin ako sa skincare ko. So, see, I'd recommend that you also, so probably do another. Let me know if you also want me to do another live stream of like skincare, or probably I've also been meaning to do a live stream about, kasi diba I'm staying in BF Homes right now, so there are a lot. I grew up in BF Homes and I know that there is a lot of horror stories in BF Homes and urban legends. So let me know if you guys want me to do an episode where I just talk about that. Okay? So yes, so that is it. So thank you guys if you watched the live stream. Thank you guys, and